William's birth story. A year ago, I was approaching my due date. My due date was the 6th of April, and I was overdue. I just remember before I gave birth, I was so tired of being pregnant. And looking back, I mean, it's so funny when you're not pregnant, you look back and you just have all these fond memories of feeling the baby move, and you forget about all the aches and pains. But when I think back at those 2 weeks right before he was born, oh, they're so precious with anticipation. We did the Bradley method. So if you don't know what Bradley method is, basically we took classes before my son was born. My husband and I did, and my husband learned how to coach me through childbirth. Our goal was to have a natural childbirth at a birth center here in town, and we wanted my husband to be the main source of encouragement and help. So in order for him to do that, he had to figure out what the heck childbirth was and the processes of it all. I recommend it completely. I think for men, women's bodies are very, very, complicated. I mean, they're complicated for us, let alone for them. And birth is so complicated. How, your body pushes this baby out with all of our hormones, and how we have to relax, and different positions that can help. So it was really, really beneficial. So we did this for 9 weeks. So my husband was ready to go. Also, we hired a doula to help support my husband and just be that extra hands for the situation. So my mom had come in the train the night before, so that April 10th, we didn't know. I mean, I was overdue, so I just told my mom, come up to town and the baby will come when he comes. So she ended up coming April 10th, at 9:30 in the evening. And I remember being we came home and I was like, I think I'm gonna go to bed just in case the baby comes tonight, because I had been having consistent Braxton Hicks all day. They weren't hurting, but I could feel my stomach tightening and loosening and tightening pretty consistently. But even when I said that, I didn't actually think he was going to come. I just, had gotten my hopes. I mean, I wasn't getting my hopes up, So that night around 2 a.m., my contractions woke me up, and I told my husband, I think that I'm starting to go. I think this is serious. So we turned on a movie. I don't remember which movie it was. What movie was it? Some romantic comedy. It's so bad. You think I'd remember? What was it? Oh, that one with Sandra Bullock where she's a lawyer and she's trying to protect this building. I don't remember the name of it. So we watched the movie for about 2 hours, which was a great distraction. For it to start really going, especially because it was in the morning. There's nothing we could do. In hindsight, I probably could have slept a little bit longer, but I was just so excited. I just wanted to include my husband. So around 6 a.m., we got my mom up, and I woke her up. I remember being like, I feel like it's Christmas morning to tell you that the baby's probably coming today. So we got up, and we just hung out in the living room for a while. The contractions were about 12 minutes apart, lasting about a minute long. So the morning just was me ramping up contractions, still talking, still having a good time. We walked around our apartment, the complex. We walked around the apartment complex a lot. There was a stadium near our house, so we walked the stairs and just trying to get the contractions going stronger. My doula ended up coming around noon. And yeah, she helped my husband. I moved different, positions. That's really what helped, I think. Every so often, changing my body position. I really liked being on the ground with my booty in the air. That was really nice. I rested in between contractions during that time. So around 5:30, my midwife called and she asked how we were doing. She listened to my contraction and she said, well, why don't you come into the birth center and we'll check her and see how far she's going. So I came in the birth center and she checked me and I was around 5 centimeters. She said, well, you could stay here and you could take a long time to progress, or you could go home for a little bit longer then come back. So I decided I would go home, but no matter what, I'd be back at the birth center by 8. Well, as I was leaving the birth center, my contractions just amped up. They talk about when you are in labor, you're thinking things in your brain, but you're not communicating them. You go really inward. And let me tell you, that is what happened, because in my brain, I was thinking, I did not want to leave this place. Like, my contractions are amping up. I can't move in between them all. Like, this is serious. Like, it's going, but I still left, and the car ride was horrible. It was horrible. Driving while in labor is not a fun thing. Got home, and about 15 minutes after we got home, my water broke. And it's so funny because before my water broke, the contractions were strong, don't get me wrong, but after my water broke, I was like such relief. And then that first contraction happened after my water broke, and I was like, bah, get me to the birth center now. It was like serious, like these were contractions like I hadn't felt before. So I got to the birth center like a half an hour later. It was about 7 by that time, and I got into the water, and at that point, man, I just focused. I got inward. My husband and I was in the bath, I was in the water, and I was in there for about 3 hours, and in my memory, I was in there for like 15 minutes. It was like barely anything, So, I was just in my zone, and my sweet husband was like in the water with me, freezing cold, because half of his body was in the water, half of it wasn't. He did not leave my side the entire time. That man worked hard. They talk about how women work hard, which is true, but my husband worked hard during my labor. He was just an awesome support. Anyway, so around the transition phase, I did the normal, like, doubting myself. At one point I remember pounding on the walls, being like, who does this more than once? I can't do this. This is insane. This is so painful. And right about then, I went back into the water, and then because I had gotten out for them to check me again, and I wasn't quite there. And I got back in the water, and all of a sudden, I got so afraid. Like, I felt I needed to push. I felt like I needed to push, but I was so afraid to. But I did. I didn't. I waited until I got out of the water, because I didn't really necessarily want a water birth. I didn't really care necessarily for a water birth. I just wanted to labor in the tub. So I got out. They checked me again just to make sure that I was at 10, and I was. So I got on the birthing stool, which again, my husband, so thankful for him. He suggested the birthing stool, and it was awesome. The birthing stool was just the best position for me. Gravity helped. It was great. All those muscles to push that baby down were in action. It was a quick delivery, as in pushing stage. And as soon as I was on the birth stool, and then the last couple pushes, they had me get on my back on the bed so they could bring him up and onto my chest. So I pushed him out, and he got on my chest. The first thing he did was spit out all the mucus, or the amniotic fluid, and he just cried. And I that emotion of who is this person who are you? I remember the first thing I said was, who are you? Who is this baby that is on me? All of a sudden I was a mom. It was just a very, very before he was born, I just felt like Rebecca, and then after he was born, I was Rebecca, but I'm someone's mom. And I looked at my husband and I said, can we do this again? Seconds after I gave birth to him. It was just the most incredible, God-glorifying moment of seeing this person being born and seeing their first breath. It was just incredible. He was born at 11:36 on April 11th. I had 20 hours of labor, and it was incredible. We came home, and again, those, it's so funny, I always say, the first 2 weeks, or 2 weeks before the giving birth and 2 weeks after giving birth are just the most precious moments. I wish I could just rewind and live those moments over and over again, where your endorphins are high, and you know, you're bonding with this baby. And you know, my midwife had me on a week's bed rest, so I was just laying down. My job was to nurse him and establish breastfeeding and healing. And you know, people brought us dinners, which was incredible and just an amazing blessing. And my mom was there, and it's just incredible. So I'm so excited that William's turning 1 in a couple weeks. I can't believe it. And I'm so thankful for the little blessing that he is in our lives. That's his story.